Hello, everyone in internet world, internet land. You are watching again AI Edge Promotions, the place that brings you the best of the best doctors in their area and within their niche. The great doctor that we're going to be speaking with today is Dr. Jonathan Schultz, and you can find him at vitalchirowellness.com. Vitalchirowellness.com. Say that 3 or 4 times. Today, the topic is going to be the role of chiropractic in a wellness lifestyle. Let me ask you guys, is chiropractic part of your lifestyle? Why is it not? I'll tell you guys why. Because a lot of people think that the only time they need to see a chiropractor is when the light turns on, meaning when there's inflammation, when there's pain. And you just think, hey, doctors only work on backs. No, the spine is part of the whole body. And so today we're going to be talking about that. So, doctor, thank you so much for being here with us. Tell us about how you got into chiropractic and a little bit about your background, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. I actually grew up in a very medical model household. My mother's a nurse, my father's a pharmacist. And so growing up, that was always kind of the go-to, right? The treatment
Right.
paradigm when something goes wrong, we know how to take care of that. But there was just not a lot of emphasis on living well to prevent things from going wrong. And so I ended up in college, very fat, weak, inflamed, a lot of health concerns going on, and really had to begin again and start learning about, okay, what have I been doing wrong? How can I fix this? And it's been a journey ever since then of, about 30 years at this point to really try to figure out how can I create this lifestyle that prevents issues from coming up. Along the way, in my previous career, I was an actor. And so got very interested in movement and sound and expression and what is optimal, right? Under optimal circumstances, how the body is functioning. And then I started to apply that towards my wellness lifestyle sort of, pathway. And at some point, I don't know how it happened, but I was really like, I've got to do more with this. I have to help teach people the things that I know and that I'm learning, in real time. And a very good friend of mine that I grew up with was a chiropractor. And it was actually my wife at the time. She was like, "What about what your buddy
Wow.
does?" I was like, "Gosh, yeah, that makes total sense." And so I spoke to him about it and he said, "Yeah, you should absolutely do this. I've never wanted to push it on you, but I always thought you'd be great at it." And so later in life, I went back and had to because I had several acting degrees at that point, but not a lot of science credit. So I had to go back and get all of my science prerequisites. And then I went through chiropractic school and got out in 2015. And I've been here in Austin trying to help people live better lives ever since.
Wow. So chiropractic, it almost seems like that it almost kind of runs in your family of helping people. And, one of the questions that I have and I see is that a lot of people, they'll go see a chiropractor, maybe if you're lucky every quarter, they'll
Mm.
take advantage of their insurance instead of realizing that, and this is my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, because when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when I'm right, I buy it on like a pit bull. Would you say that the body should be at least seeing a chiropractor at least once a week? Or whatever your number is, why would you say that?
I think for everybody, it's different, and it's always going to be based on the goals of the patient. What do you
Okay.
want? You started by saying, people have this misconception that we only go to a chiropractor when we're in pain. Well, that's only a misconception if your goal is something other than getting out of pain. I know a lot of people that's really all they're looking for. And I say, great, let me help you with that. I'm here when you need me. However, there are multiple ways to use it. And if your goals ever change, if you do get interested as I did in saying, well, how can I really tune this race car, right, to
Right.
run more efficiently? That's when you have to start saying, okay, what is my frequency? I find, just generally speaking, that with the amount of stress in our everyday life, body misuse, poor nutrition, right, that kind of stuff that's everywhere, I say that once a month to me would be an absolute bare minimum for most
Mhm.
people. And I think that if you're really being honest with yourself, every 2 weeks is probably a perfect frequency. Now, I try to get adjusted every single week. I'm lucky that I have friends, right? That and we can adjust each other and we can trade off and do things like that. I know everybody doesn't have that. Once a week is a phenomenal frequency. If you have, a pretty stressful job. My wife is in, technology sales for a big corporation. I adjust her every single week because she needs it in order to keep functioning. For most people, though, I think that sweet spot is about every 2 weeks, and that'll really keep you on track and keep your body just able to adapt to the stresses and to the curveballs of everyday life.
I would have to agree with that. For me, I try to at least once a week because of the type of work that I do. You
Mhm.
know, I think that, and the reason, and I'm not a doctor, but the reason why I believe that it should be once a week. One, you want optimal for your body. It needs to be optimal all times. Because of work, because of
Yeah.
mental stuff. We see all the junk on Facebook, social media. We see the Google God telling us how to feel, and it affects our brain. And not only that, but our pillow. What type of pillow are you using? Do you
Yeah.
use a pillow? Should you use a pillow? Does that get you out of alignment? What kind of bed are you? Orthopedic? It makes a difference. I don't even use a pillow. I have pillows in my bed, but I don't. I use a thin blanket.
Yeah.
Real thin,
Yep.
because I don't need no clink in my neck. And
Correct.
not only that, but we got a new thing called bird neck. Bird neck is very popular these days, and I think 95% of the world is getting bird neck because they're on their phones looking down, they're not looking
Um,
up, so that's gonna restrict blood flow. So, if it's restriction blood flow, wouldn't you say that you start to build inflammation?
Absolutely. And a lot of other things too. I mean, the one of the biggest problems with that forward head posture that you're talking about, right? Either being on the phone or if you have like two pillows and you're cranking your neck in that
Yep,
direction, you lose that cervical curvature. And just think about something as simple as CPR training. They say before you inhale into the person's mouth, what do? You restore their cervical curvature because that opens their airway. So not only restricting blood flow, you're actually cutting off the path of oxygen to get to your lungs, which oxygenates the entire body, including the brain. So there are a lot of little things like that. You also, that head starts to move forward. You start to get degenerative arthritis right down here in your neck, right? You start to have disc degeneration. Suddenly you're having disc bulges. You're getting numbness and tingling down into your arms and weakness, and you're not able to do the things with your dexterity that you used to, all because you're looking down or you're at your computer or you're seated or you're sleeping on too
right.
many pillows. And so it is a good practice to have someone on your team, your health team, to say, "Hey, you got some things here that I'm concerned about. Let's take a minute and kind of Sherlock Holmes your lifestyle and see where this might be coming from, and how can I give you some suggestions that are simple that maybe just take this off your plate in terms of what you're headed towards."
Right. So when you bring up the wellness lifestyle, what does that really entail? Not just entail, this is more of like a twofer.
Okay.
Does chiropractic just help your back?
No, and I'm gonna answer that one first. It absolutely does not just help your back. That's the big takeaway of this, I hope for people, is that chiropractic is not just orthopedic, right? It's very good at that pain relief, muscles, joints, bones, but your spine and your nervous system are so interconnected that they cannot be separated. And the movement of the spine facilitates the function of your central nervous system, that conduit of brain to body. So I'm going to come back to that. Let's talk again about wellness. You said, really, what's this wellness lifestyle? I like to think that a wellness lifestyle is a practice where you create an environment that creates the highest quality of life or function that your body's capable of, as well as both a long lifespan and a long health span. So you're
Right.
living well, you're living for a long time, and you're able to do everything you want for that entire time, right? That's wellness to me. And the best news I can give you is that you are designed to be perfectly self healing and self regulating if your environment is correct. So that practice of creating that environment that meets all of your genetic requirements for health and
Mm.
keeps out anything that would get in the way of that process, that is wellness living. And everything that you can think about in that vein only works when it's done consistently. Exercise doesn't work if you only do it once a month. Healthy eating does not work if it's occasional. Good sleep doesn't help you if it's only on the weekends. And chiropractic is no different than that. It's a practice, it's not a one time fix. Health isn't built through intensity, it's built through consistency. And the great thing about this Maha movement is we're finally talking about how people live and not just what they take, because your lifestyle determines your health span, your lifespan, and your health outcomes in this moment. So Movement is important, nutrition is important, stress regulation, but nervous system health is massively important in that. Because everything that you do, the nervous system controls. It all works through the nervous system. So I like, a lot of people are interested in it and they say, well, I'm doing all of these things. And I say, well, you're getting your spine checked. And they say, no. And I'm like, well, you're leaving potential on the table there. You can't out supplement or out exercise a poorly functioning nervous system. So if you're working on movement, if you're working on nutrition and sleep and rest and positive mental and emotional well-being, then a chiropractic practice in your life should absolutely be important to you and at least on your plate because that's going to help you maximize all of the effort and the time and the money that you're spending on all that other stuff.
Okay, so my question to you, let's pretend I walk into your office.
Okay.
How would it look if I were to walk in your office? I go, "Hey, I just need I've got a little bit of my back's hurting me, my neck. I'm getting migraines. I just need an adjustment." What do you do? Do you just okay, no problem, and throw me on the leather and you just crack me away? How does that work? I'm just curious. How would that look? How would you treat me?
We would start by having a conversation, right? And in that conversation, I would like to know, how long have you been dealing with this? What are the things that this is preventing you from doing in your life, right? How's it negatively impacting you? What are the things in your life that you think are either causing it or keeping it from going away? And then really get into what are your goals? Are you just looking to feel better today? Because, hey, we can do that. But if you're really looking to solve this issue, I just had a young lady in my office last night and she's a student here at UT and she's saying, I had this before and I did some things for it. It got a little better and I stopped doing those things and now it's a lot worse. And I'm like, okay, well, do you want to do what you did before or do you want to try to end this? Do you want to try to solve it and move?
Ooh,
And she said, I'd like to move past this. And I said, great. So in the short term, we're going to have a series of adjustments here that are going to be a bit more frequent so that we can get your body over the hump and get you feeling well so that you can move again. And then we're going to talk about what's that maintenance schedule for you so that I can
mhm.
keep coaching you through that lifestyle and get everything dialed in a way that prevents this kind of issue from coming back. Now, I do have to do some exams. I don't know if I couldn't just throw you down on the table and adjust you. There are some issues that could be there, right? So I need to look at your posture. I need to look at your range of motion. I need to palpate your body and feel what the muscles and the joints are doing. I need to listen to your history. If you've got, a serious history of multiple traumas and concussions, and you know that you've got degenerative change in your spine and right disc issues, and I've had all this numbness and tingling, and it comes and it goes, and then I'm going to say, we're going to pause this. I'm going to do some x-rays, right? I need to see what's going on in there to make sure that structurally you are safe to adjust. You probably are, but we're going to be certain about that before I start pushing on you. If there's none of that in there, like in the case of the young lady last night, I just said that you seem to be in a bit of a crisis, but nothing here gives me a red flag like I can adjust you. So let's get that started today. And then I'm going to see you again, a couple times a week for a few weeks. And by then, you're going to really know if we're making progress or not. And we can always take it from there.
I like that. So what are some of the things that you do treat? So is it just back or how does this work?
Technically, I can adjust any joint in your body. We only treat one thing. I believe that chiropractors only treat one issue, and that is subluxation. Subluxation is a misalignment of a joint that creates less than adequate movement in that joint, which is also putting stress on the nervous system, right? Your brain gets a lot of information and energy from the movement of those joints and the proprioception. You got these little sensors in there that send information up to the brain about where the joint is in space, how it's moving, how fast, what direction. And all of that really lights up the brain like a kind of a neurological cup of coffee. And when you don't have motion from certain areas, you're not getting that. Your brain literally doesn't know what's going on with that part of your body. It doesn't know how to regulate things. It's sending signals that go past that area that can't get out to the end organ, whether it be a muscle or your gut or whatever it may be, some gland that's supposed to secrete something. And those signals are getting dampened in this area where you've got pressure on these nerves and it can't communicate. So we treat subluxation. I look for any place, especially in your spine, but not only in your spine, where you are misaligned and not moving well. And what I'm trying to do is restore adequate motion to that joint and get out of the way of your nervous system and see what you are supposed to do. Like I said, you're designed to work perfectly. I'm just trying to get the things out of the way.
Okay, awesome. So have you had some people in your clinic where you literally adjusted then, that's it, just an adjustment, and they had other ailments and they noticed that, "Wow, I'm not feeling this pain anymore. I'm not having this situation." Like, wow, like, because everything's kinda connected.
Yeah, all the time. A lot of times pain gets people in, but the increases in their function that they notice over time are what keep them coming back. So, and one of the biggest ones is sleep. People come in and they're complaining about sleep. I'm not sleeping well. I haven't slept well in a long time. And within 3 or 4 weeks, it's really like, I am amazed at how much better I'm sleeping. Allergies, symptoms get better. People's vision changes. Like you said about earlier, we were talking about brain fog and just kind of lack of energy and things like that. It's like, and people will say, it's like the fog is parting, coming back online in a way that I haven't experienced in a long time. I've had people that were patients that were told they'd never have children and then they get pregnant. And we do not treat infertility. That is not something that chiropractic does, but we are treating a spine and a nervous system. And when things can regulate function perfectly, good stuff happens, right? So yeah, we see functional changes in people
Wow,
all the time.
man, so I guess you've got a couple Jonathans out there now. You know what's interesting? A lot of people don't know. I don't tell the story a lot, but the main reason why I do what I do is years ago, back in like, I don't know, 2000, maybe 2000, yes, 2000, I had a slip disc from an
Okay.
injury at work, and I was a server for a place. It was called Bernardus Lodge up in Carmel Valley. Freaking awesome. There was oil outside, and somebody
Mm.
did not clean it, and I was going through the back to put the tray on like a little cart. It's a little five-star place, and I slipped on the oil,
Oof.
and I was out of work for about 7 months. Could not
Mm.
sleep on a bed. I could only sleep on the floor because I was in so much pain, and I tried every doctor. I tried, I'd go they not I'm not going to the gym, but, where they try to help you, the doctors where, you gotta do light weights and all that stuff. I was doing all that. It was just getting worse, and, they were trying to basically put me on something permanent, but not heal me,
Yeah.
and I was like, "This is bull," and somebody said, "Hey, you should go to a chiropractor." I'm gonna go to a chiropractor. If the doctor can't fix it in a chiropractor, I was like, "Whatever, I'll try anything." I went to a chiropractor. Within 30 days of what the doctor did to me and what he told me to do, which he told
Yeah.
me to swim laps, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Swim laps. Within 30 days, I had no more pain. That pain has not come back. So I
Beautiful.
feel like people don't give chiropractors enough credit. I
Yeah.
mean, it's unbelievable. And that's why I believe in with what you guys do. And supplication, I can't even say it, is so important because it has everything to do with blood flow. If the blood is not flowing, you have pain. You have stoppage, you have pain. And that's interesting how you said about vision. I don't know how the heck that to be adjusted and then you can see a little bit better. That's a trip.
I want to add something to what you're saying here
Yeah.
because chiropractors are notoriously for bagging on the pain relief as a goal. And as a wellness lifestyle doctor, one of the things that I'm becoming more and more acutely aware of is that movement is the number one thing that you can do to be a healthier person, right? There's all these
Yeah.
studies that are out now that are like, exercise will, make your depression less, your anxiety less, will give you more energy, will make you happier, right? There's all these things that it will do for you. But you cannot build a healthy body in a body that hurts. So when someone like yourself has an injury and they come in and they're walking like they're like, I can't stand up straight and I can't. Well, how are you going to exercise if you can't do that? If you can't move, we're not going to be able to. Movement is a nutrient, just like oxygen and just like water and just like sleep. You have to have it. And if you don't have your daily dose of movement, you're deficient and your health goes down. And if you are in pain, you are definitely not getting the movement that you need. So I love helping people get out of pain because that gives me an opportunity to say, okay, now you feel good when you move. What are you going to do with that? That's just the beginning. Now we have to take that and use that momentum to create some real traction in this direction that you need to be going. So that part is is fun for me, honestly.
Mhm. It's funny how you said movement, and the doctor told me to swim laps. I thought he was crazy,
Yeah.
and it was interesting because it strengthened my back, and what people don't realize is that when you swim laps now, I'm not a doctor, but if I couldn't go work out at the gym, I would just swim laps because it's
Yep.
working out the entire body,
Really
and you're
good.
not putting so much strain on it.
Correct.
That's why you see swimmers are so freaking ripped.
Yep. And when you have a disc injury, gravity is always pushing on that disc, but you go out of gravity, right, when you're
Huh.
swimming this way, and that you no longer have that compressive force acting on that disc. So it's a great way to get you movement and specifically alleviate some of that mechanical pressure, right, that is increasing your pain at the time.
Is there a way to get rid of bird neck?
It depends. It depends on there are several different types of loss of cervical curvature. It depends on the duration of it. It depends on how healthy the rest of the joints are in there. There generally is a combination of consistent chiropractic adjustments and then some type of mechanical traction of the neck. There are a lot of different devices out there. Probably the most popular is one put out by CBP Chiropractic Biomechanics. It's called the Denny Roll. It looks like a yoga block, only kinda got this peak on the top, and
Yeah, it's like little.
you stick it right here, and your head falls back over
It's
it.
like a foam almost, like a
Yeah,
thick
it's foam,
foam.
and it pushes into that curve, and then it just stretches that spine out in that curved position, and you just lay there, and gravity does it. And you can rebuild the curvature over time. There are protocols that make that easier. It's not an easy thing to do, right? The people that do it, especially the people that do it quickly, are spending a lot of time, I believe, in these clinics. They're doing a lot of different things all at once. It's a pretty intense regime, but I think that you can also go and find a chiropractor that's willing to take some x-rays and look at it and say, "Well, let's try some things. Let's get you doing some exercises." You can always do head retractions and head extensions and get on your Denny roll twice a day. You can have their cervical pillows. Like you said before, we might get you into a pillow that has the
Right.
divot in the middle of it. Yes, you can. Most of the time, what I see is that people might gain a bit of that curve back. They probably won't go to what we would call a healthy curve or a normal curve, but they will stop or slow the increase, right? They won't continue to go in that direction and it won't get worse and worse and worse over time. We can halt that process. But you got to talk about your ergonomics. Like right now, just because I'm trying to get in the window so that I get some light on my face, my computer is down. So I'm actually looking in a direction that is not.
Oh, wow.
I would like to pick this up and be looking here. And I like to help people dial in, right? Their office setup, their car setup, their bed setup, right? There's a lot of places where we spend a lot of time that if you're not doing things right, you could be exacerbating this issue and never even know it. So yes, it's possible. It takes a lot of work and it takes someone that's willing to, kind of get in there and help you detail out some of those things. And you have to be willing then to really put in the time on the stretches and the traction and that type of thing.
And that's a huge thing. I'm sure, like, you bring this up in chiropractic, is people don't realize how important stretching is
Mm.
every day. Think about it. When you see a cat or a dog, not saying that we're cats or dogs, but I watch them because I have a little puppy. Man, she does these stretches like she's stretching for the Olympics. But I noticed that
Multiple times a day.
why are we
Yeah.
not spending, I spend, for me, I'm a pickleball player, so I spend 20 minutes a day
Yeah.
stretching. And
Yeah.
let me tell you something. It's funny. My 19-year-old son's like, "Oh, you're getting older. You got to stretch." I'm like, "Whatever." And now he told me last night because we train together. We're
Okay.
both avid
Good.
pickleball players. We're going to start doing some tournaments and everything. And he goes, "Dad, I'm going to start stretching for 20 minutes a day before I even work out. It'll help me with my pickleball." I'm thinking like, "Wow, where did you hear that one?" It makes me laugh because like I used to be a tennis pro, so I'll show my son something and he'll just like whatever, and then he'll tell me what I told him what he's doing, and I'm like I showed him how to do a backhand better 'cause I used to be a tennis
Okay.
pro,
Yeah.
and now he's telling me, "Oh, all I'm doing is this, and it's just working," and I'm thinking like, I'm not gonna say it because he ain't gonna listen. Like, "I told you that, you lizard." Like, I said that to him last night. I was like, "Buddy, did I where'd you get that from? It's such a smart idea."
It's good. Yeah, and
Mhm.
and I like what you're saying there because, when I say that we need a daily dose of movement, there's multiple types of movement that we need to be getting, and mobility training is one of them. We definitely need strength training. We definitely need endurance training, and we definitely need mobility training. And all three are important. I guess this is a good time. I'll throw this out there. A lot of the things that we're talking about here has led me to create what I call the Vital Wellness Beginner's Guide, and it's for
Really?
people that are wanting a real clear starting point for living healthier, but they don't want to do everything all at once, and they don't know where to begin. And it's a series of videos that I put. It's on my website. You can sign up there for it. But I've got my morning and evening mobility videos on there. It's two separate videos, right? Because I go totally different. I've got a wake up mobility, and then I've got a wind down
Oh,
mobility.
wow.
And I do it twice a day, and it's very different. They look very different, but it has, as I've gotten more and more consistent over time and figured that out, I hurt less. You talk about getting older and you just wake up stiff, and I'm 47 now, and I wake up feeling better than I have in a long time because those are now a part of my lifestyle, and it has made such a huge difference in everything I.
Wow, so this is it like a two-part series you have, or is this something that you
No,
broke
it's a
down
it's
into?
a it's a series of videos. I think there's 23 of them. They're all
Wow.
about 5 minutes. They're pretty short, right? And it's a lot of the things that we talked about here, but it goes through nutrition, hydration, sleep, movement, and exercise, and kind of the different kinds of it and how to get started with that. And then a lot in the beginning about just what's the philosophy, right? What's the mindset and the paradigm that we have to understand if you're going to create health? Okay, well, then what is health? If you want a wellness lifestyle, well, what is that? Let's define those things. Let's really put on a pair of lenses that helps us see the world through that paradigm. And then you go, okay, then now everything I say to you, you'll go, that makes sense now that I know why I'm looking at it that way. And I've got a whole video on chiropractic in there and why that, helps to support this process. But it's, Maha has been great. It's gotten people to think about, how we live. But there are so many people out there that are like, I'm way back here at the beginning. And I have, and most of the health influencers that are out there are talking about red lights and peptides and hyperbaric chambers. You go look at Dave Asprey and you're like, I just need to know how do I get off the couch, man? You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
So most people are at the beginning, and this little series of videos is just designed to empower people to say, I can practice these things. I can improve my capacity to live just by doing this stuff. And by the time you get through everything I've told you, you're ready to go out there and start applying all of Andrew Huberman's protocols, and you know what I mean, and things like that. You're ready for those things because the low hanging fruit you've already embodied.
It's most of the people, though, they're like what you're saying,
Most
"How
of
do
the
I get off
people.
the couch?" And it's funny, I'm a big movie buff, so I relate to everything from the movies, so from
Me
the
too.
'80s, they had that movie called What About Bob?
Oh
And
yeah,
I
great
one of
movie.
my favorites, I love the part where the doctor had all of his books, the same one book right behind
Yeah,
him, and he goes, there's this really doctor who's got a number 1 bestseller, I'm trying to remember his name, and wait a minute, I think it was called it's right behind me, Baby Steps.
baby steps. Yeah,
That's what we have to do is we have to do baby
steps
steps
into
and
love.
realize the baby
Yep,
steps get you to the bigger steps. And what it's in a way, from what I hear you saying, is you have these series of videos for people. It's baby steps, man. This is you're not
correct.
gonna, the Berlin Wall wasn't built in one day. It
Absolutely,
might have went down in one day, but you see where I'm going. I mean,
totally.
it's gradual and there's something you keep saying. You use the word reoccurring or consistency. Consistency is the key, period.
Period.
And when people say, "Well, I'm just not too consistent," I go, "Yeah, but you were consistent of not getting off of the couch for the past 25, 30 years.
Right.
So you got to start somewhere."
Correct.
You know what I mean? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes your biggest hurdle isn't the person, it's the mind.
Yeah, it
So it's
is.
like, how do we get
And
them
I have some videos on mindset, right? That we can, yeah, that you have to think about these things, and to give yourself those little hits of dopamine. Like you gotta say, man, I did that. Yes. And
the
use
little
that as
victories, man, are the big
momentum to
ones.
then move to the next baby step, right?
Baby step.
And then you look behind you and you look like, look how far I've already come. And you use those wins and stack them up. And yeah, absolutely. The mind is really, really hard. But there are some easy things out there that you can get done and suddenly really feel like you're on top of the world. And that's what it's all about.
100%. One of the things that I do for myself, if I'm doing something that's maybe hurting me, think of the pain. How does it make me feel? And I have to talk to myself because if I'm not saying it out of my mouth, it's not going to come in fruition.
Right.
I think of the pain, how it makes me feel. And then from there, I'm like, "Well, I don't wanna feel that way." Then whenever I think about doing that, let's say it's eating a Twinkie, and I know that if I eat that Twinkie, I'm gonna get the biggest crash that I get, and then I'm gonna fall asleep and then wake up feeling not good.
Yeah.
It does a reverse psychology on my brain, and it's hard because our brain has, trails, has lines in it. And when you've been doing something so long, it becomes a highway and it sticks. And we don't realize that we can rewire that brain to thinking something else.
Yeah.
And that's how powerful our mind is. But we have to think, I believe, we have to say, this does not make me feel good. This does not benefit me. And I'm not going to do it anymore, period.
Yeah.
And that's a
I
hard
think
thing.
in Alcoholics Anonymous, they say, play the tape through, right? You know where this path leads. So, okay, you're thinking about drink, you're thinking about taking that drink. What's going to come next? And
Yeah.
then what's going to be tomorrow? And then does any of that look or feel like where you want to be, where, right? Where we've worked so hard, so yeah, that's a very good strategy to just go, I've been down that road. I don't like that road. So let me take a minute and really put myself out there again. And that's easier for me to go, yeah, no, thank you. I'm good.
How do you deal with people that come in? Maybe you don't. I always try to put myself in the doctor's shoes. So I'm seeing what you're saying. I'm agreeing, and I love you're giving some good nuggets. When you have someone that is a new patient or
Mhm.
someone, I don't like to use the word patient, but someone that you're looking at helping, how do you tell them about being consistent with chiropractic? Do you paint a picture? Do you let them know that they should, I mean, how does that work? I mean, or do you just adjust them and God bless you, peace?
Depends, it all depends on what brings them in, and I'm pretty clear about my message of wellness chiropractic. I think a lot of chiropractors sort of keep those cards close to their chest, and they put themselves out there as we will help you feel better, we'll help your neck pain and your back pain and your headaches and all this stuff, and they get them in, and then they do help them with that, and then they're like, okay, now we're going to talk about this wellness part. And I've been very intentional about trying to talk about wellness from the beginning. I want to capture these people that Maha has lit a fire in. And they're like, yeah, that's something that I am interested in. And I know that I need to do differently. And so when you come to my website, you're going to see wellness all over it. You're going to see consistency all over it. But it's still, if someone comes in and is like, I've got these headaches and I'd really like to get them gone, then sweet. We're going to talk about that first. I'm going to address your issue first. And I'm going to use every opportunity that I have to say, we're making really good progress with you and your body is working so much better now than when it was. It would be a shame if we just stopped doing this and allowed you to go back to where you were. And I'll talk about things like the gym or going to the dentist. Dentistry is so analogous to chiropractic in a lot of ways, and people get it with dentistry. You just go, would you stop going to the dentist if they say, well, your teeth look great? Would you just not go back? And they go, well, no, I want to keep my teeth and I want to keep them my whole life so I can chew food and, have a mouth and all that and smile, for pictures. That people immediately get it. So it's just about connecting those dots. And if someone comes in and they're like, doc, really, I do better on chiropractic. I've had it in the past. I just need an easy way to stay consistent. Then I go, this is great. We're going to put you on a membership and we're going to keep you in here a couple times a month and you're going to really flourish with that. But if someone comes in and goes, I've got this issue and my low back and my disc, then I'm going to say, let's talk about that. Let's give you 1 to 2 months of care so we can really, both you and I, get a better picture of how intense that is and what it's going to take to heal you. And during that time, I'll have somewhat of a relationship built with that person so that I can then say, if your goals have been met and you no longer need my services, I am here when you need you, when you need me. I love you. Come back when you're ready. But if you like this and you want to continue moving onwards and upwards, then let's talk about how to keep you on some kind of regular basis so that you don't start going backwards. I got this poster in my office and it's called the process of healing. And it's got this line that moves up like this from one end to the other. And it says, if you drop out of care, then you do this here. And up here, if you drop out of care, you're right, you start going down like this. And people understand that because we know we've all done it. We've all gotten passionate about things and that passion wanes and life takes over. And all of a sudden we're like, I am not doing that anymore. And I am not enjoying the benefits of it anymore because it's not a part of my life anymore. So you just take those opportunities. You meet people where they are. you try to help them with the goals they are. If they're not interested in what I'm interested in, I don't take that personally. I just tell everybody, I love you. I'm here when you need me.
I really like that. I think that I'm trying always, like I said, I always try to put myself in your shoes. I'm trying to think, how would I talk to somebody? I would, for me, I would probably say, look, I'm going to be very upfront with you. Consistency is the key, like you're saying. You can just see me twice a year. Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll probably be walking backwards, but other than that, the thing is that the our skeletal system was meant for being adjusted because we get unadjusted
Yeah.
and you could sleep wrong. Like you could see me right now, you're fine. And then tomorrow you could sleep wrong and you're like, hey, doc, I need you again. That's why I believe that we should be consistent once a week. For me, is perfect. Hey, if that's too much for you, I would do at least twice a month, and I know that everybody's different, like you were telling me, but I don't know. I think maybe because I'm so passionate about chiropractic, I feel like everybody needs to be adjusted once a week because of so much going on in this world. Now, if this was
Another
30 years ago, I would be like, hey, twice a
correct.
month's perfect.
And that's another big point that I do bring up to people. We are living at a time where
Yeah.
humans are under more stress than they have ever been under in the history of Earth. It's just we are so there's such an onslaught of distraction and data and information and pressure. It's coming from all angles all the time. And I tell people, when they say, I think I'd like to come in once a month. I'm like, great, great. Do you have a really low stress life? And they laugh.
That is funny.
No. I go, then you can try it. But what I'm telling you is if you don't, then that's probably not going to be enough. And you're going to notice that you're going to feel good for a few weeks and you're going to start slipping. Right. And you're going to be on this real kind of roller coaster. Whereas if we increase that frequency a bit, we can just keep that moving up and up and up and up and up.
You know what's funny? I'm just thinking of the ways just talking with you. This is how I would say it if I was a doctor. You know what? Let me ask you a question. How do you feel right now? Oh man, I feel great, dude. I love it. I'm so glad I came.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool to feel like that every week?
Yeah.
Open-ended question.
Yeah.
Yes, it would feel great to. Okay, so wouldn't you think the smartest thing to do? Come in once a week, keep you at this optimal vibration,
Yeah.
and I'll also give you. I'll give you a freebie. I'll tell them that.
Yeah.
Be honest with me. How many times are you on social media and on your phone? About a lot. I want you to cut that time and then coming to chiropractic once a week, you're gonna be a new person.
Yep.
I mean, I go to Planet Fitness, Man, I
Yeah.
miss I was moved to help my parents out and some other stuff happened. And so I belong to a country club and man, I miss that country club in Vancouver, Washington. But I'm in California with my parents. That's cool. So I'm in
There
a
you go.
Planet Fitness. I'm like, but I got the gold card. Let me tell you something. After I'm
Okay.
done working out, I am in the chair for like 20 minutes. Too
Nice.
much stress is going out there. I mean, family, life, I mean, social media. If honestly, I would stay off social media. I would tell people to stay off. But guess what? I have a business that I run, social media.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of shut out the window. But I have the power to limit myself, have other people do it. Where there's a will, there's a way. And people out there, I just want to let you know if you are looking for a good chiropractor that listens, if you hear that, the word listen is rare these days. How many times do you go to a doctor and they just throw you in the leather and bop, 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 and then we're done. And they just say, you're okay. And that's it. It's not the way it works. Dr. Jonathan Schultz is not like that. You can go to vitalchirowellness.com, vitalchirowellness.com. Check him out. I've been talking to him for a little bit, and he also has some new stuff coming up. I'm excited about where his practice is going, and his focus is on healing the body, not doing a patch, not giving you a pill,
Right.
but getting that blood flow. You have no blood flow, you're screwed. Let's just be real, my friends. So if
Right.
you're in the area, please check out Dr. Jonathan Schultz. If you can I'll give you the last mic on this. Maybe just tell people what area that you're at, and also, just it's all you.
You got it. My clinic is situated at 14th and West, so it's very close to downtown. It's very centrally located. We're just north of downtown, but super accessible from many of the neighborhoods in and around central Austin. I do live in this area. My kids go to school here, so I do treat a lot of personal friends and family. I want to be a neighborhood family chiropractor. I want to form relationships with people. I want to know, what's going on and how I can support your family living together and growing together and just making sure that this community has the best potential that right to reach its full potential. That's what I'm really trying to do. I'm going to make this as easy on you as I can. I've worked in a lot of different clinics, and sometimes, you go in and you wait for an hour. Sometimes, it takes you 3 appointments before you get adjusted. I'm trying to really make this simple in a modern way, right? Where you can come in, you can book online, you can move those appointments around. We're gonna work with your schedule, and we're gonna make sure that chiropractic meets you where you are. Because if it's not convenient for you, you're not gonna do it. And if you don't do it, you're not going to live as well as you could. So that's my mission, is to help people live well and be healthy and build health as a family and as a community. And if I can start by making regular, consistent chiropractic care a no-brainer for you, then I've really done something to help the world. And that's my big thing here.
That's awesome. I appreciate you, doctor, and I love what you do and your service.
Thank you, Mark.
Great, great.